All right, hi guys, my name is Anakin Manby, and today I'm going to be presenting André Derain's Portrait of Matisse, made in 1905. Okay, so this is my thesis statement, and I took a screenshot of it from my essay. And so what it says is, this paper will examine André Derain's Portrait of Matisse, made in 1905. His work has been described very often as fauve, and his work is often associated with Fauvism. This is the name of the movement Derain has also taken part in, and the term was coined by Louis Portait. I think that's how you say his name. And so fauve means that it was almost as if Derain's works were painted by wild beasts, and not in a good way. For this paper, the essay will be focused on discussing André Derain's Portrait of Matisse, his use of color, line, shape, texture, space, composition, materials, as well as the chosen medium. The essay will also be discussing the historical context behind the painting and the reason why many people at the time were shocked by Derain breaking away from what was considered traditional art at the time. Okay, so brief outline of André Derain. His date of birth was the 10th of June in 1880, and he was born in Chateau, France. And his date of death is the 8th of September, 1954, in Garches, France. And his country of origin, France. So his training location, the Académie Carrière in Paris, France, and his influences are Henri Matisse, Paul Cézanne, and Vincent van Gogh, and many more. Okay, so in terms of color, Derain used colors that were brilliant, bright, intense, and non-realistic, or in other words, very fantastical. And there's also a direct application of paint, meaning there's like little to no mixing at all. There's some here and there, but for the most part, just, direct application of the paint from the tube onto the canvas. So when I say that it's not as realistic as something that you would see in real life, that's because back during the Renaissance, they used a lot of chromatic and achromatic colors. So Da Vinci's Portrait of Ginevra de' Benci is more realistic because it has browns, chromatic and achromatic grays with some muted colors as well. And also it was very realistic. So it kind of felt like you could almost like go in and actually touch these people, which is pretty cool. But for Derrain's, he just has direct application of paint, little to no mixing, and very, very bright colors that you wouldn't normally see in the real world. Okay, so in terms of line and shape, there's some indication of lines used. So these are located on his brow, eyelids, ear, nose, shirt, his smoking pipe, even the mouthpiece that he puts in. And also, I included these squares to show where these lines were applied. All right. When we look at Derrain's Portrait of Matisse, in terms of texture, the brush strokes are very visible, and the actual texture of the brush strokes, we can see the start and the end. And the painted canvas is easily shown throughout the composition, so you can kind of see it in his hair, a little bit on, even in his shirt, and even in the neckline right here. And the strokes are very gestural compared to Renaissance paintings. So when we go back to Da Vinci's Portrait of Matisse, Portrait of Ginevra de' Benci, you don't even see the brushstrokes. It's so realistic. You could you felt like you could actually go in and touch them, but you can't. It's just a painting. And I have shown the rectangles just to show where these textures are located on the painting. And in terms of the space and composition, subject is front and center of the composition. And there's little to no area for the viewer to rest their eyes and enjoy the overall work of the painting. And there's also a sense of crowding. So there's also little to no sense of movement, very stagnant. It's just there. You can't miss it. It's just in the composition. And it doesn't move your eyes around as much. And so the reason why I included Madonna and Child and compared it to Henri Matisse is Madonna and Child, they play a huge part in Christian religion. And Henri Matisse, because he went to the academy with Derain, he played a huge part in Derain and in his personal work as well. So for this painting, oil paint, it was used with oil paint on a canvas. And Derain chose to create a portrait of his friend smoking from a pipe. And also note, this is really important, Henri also painted a portrait of Derain in 1905, which I will show you in the next slide. So on the left is Matisse's portrait of Derain, and on the right, Derain made a portrait of Matisse. So they both made a portrait of each other, and they were both made in 1905. And I also included that note on the very left, just in case you guys didn't see that part. And it's very interesting because both of them use very fantastical colors because they're both a part of the Fauvism movement. So they didn't really use realistic colors that you would see in reality. And also we have my work cited. This is all my work that I have cited, images, information, stuff like that. So yeah, thank you for watching my presentation.